back to Offbeat Discoveries. We're going to do UFO story, and we have Don Westall with us again. We also have Dale and Billy here today. And Don has a pretty incredible and interesting story to tell us of something he witnessed. Don, when was this and where were you?
It was right around April of 1988.
Okay.
And I had...
where were you?
Okay. I was taking a load to Danville, Virginia, and I met the crew at Greensboro, North Carolina, and we took Highway 29 out of Greensboro up to Danville, Virginia. And when we got about 17 or 20 miles from Danville, Virginia, or the Virginia state line, we were still in North Carolina. And as I topped a little rise in the highway there and started to go over, and I'm driving about a 35-foot long flatbed pickup truck, or actually what they call a stake bed. And behind me was another vehicle that I had met up with, and there was at least 4 guys in that truck. I know there was 4 in there. And the driver of the truck was a good friend of mine, and I do keep up with him, and we've talked the story over many a times. We've talked about it and everything. We were topped that little rise, and I look off to the right as we go over. I look, and I'm looking at maybe less than about 1/8 of a mile. And I thought, the first thing I thought was, oh, there's a Mylar balloon floating off to the side of the highway there.
So this was during the day?
This is in the morning. This was right around about 8 o'clock in the morning, between 8 and 8:30 in the morning.
It was a sunny day, obviously.
It was a beautiful, sunny spring day.
Okay.
And as I topped the rise and I'm looking at this, the first thing hits my mind is I need to slow down.
Yeah.
So I kind of tapped my brakes a little bit and let them know I was slowing down. And as I was slowing down, going down the hill, I'm looking also over in the mirror, and I could see their faces, all of them in the mirror. And as I'm going down this hill, I start realizing that that's not a Mylar balloon, it's something else, you know. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And as I get right up on it, I'm just about come to a complete stop when I'm like 100 feet from it, and I'm tapping my brakes some more, and I can see their eyes are getting big, and I'm like, what in the world is that? And off to the side of the highway, I would say maybe about 15-20 feet in the air, and no more than about 40 or 50 feet from where I'm sitting there. I stopped right in the road. I mean, I just stopped the road. I didn't even pull over or nothing. I just stopped. And I'm looking, and right off to the right there, maybe at about a 20-30 degree angle, there's this orb, just a shiny, looks like a giant silver ball bearing, about 3 times the size of a basketball, about like this, just floating in the air, just not moving anywhere, just suspended in the air.
Did you have your windows open? Could you hear it?
The windows were up now. The windows were up because it was kind of cool in the morning and everything, so I didn't have time to reach over and roll any windows down, but I'm just looking at this thing. And as I'm looking at it, I notice that there's movements within this orb that's floating there, and I could see what looked like, sort of like a float, like if you took a glass with ice in it and you turn it, the object of the glass is moving faster than what's inside of it. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
But inside of this shiny silver skin that looks almost like polished silver, there's a fluid, looks like, and it's spinning counterclockwise if you're looking down on it. And there's a fluid that's flowing around inside it, most of it concentrated towards the center of the spiral or whatever.
Right.
And you can see it, and it's moving slow. I mean, it's taking like, you know, maybe a half a minute or so to make a complete swirl at the speed of the movement. And I'm looking at this thing, and I notice not only the swirl going around inside of it, there's another movement on the inside of that, like another layer past that, and it's got more of a swirling action in the fluid, because the other one's more like a river flowing, and the other one's more like a cloud. And it's turning, coming up and around like this at a 45-degree angle to the fluid that's flowing this way. So you got the outer silver skin, you got the fluid, looks like mercury, kind of spinning around inside of it slow, and then another one coming around like this. And I watched this thing for maybe, I'm sitting there for maybe, I'm just guessing, 45 seconds. I don't think it was a full minute. And I'm looking at it, and it hasn't moved or anything. It's just that, just hovering there in midair.
Okay.
And I mean, it's so close, I could take a golf ball. If the windshield wasn't there in the truck, I could have took a golf ball and threw it out the windshield and hit the thing right off the side of the highway there, right at the fence line.
That close?
That close.
Wow.
That close. And as I'm looking at it after about a half minute, 45 seconds, I'm just like amazed, and I could see just kind of glancing over there. They're all like looking at it also. And as I'm looking at it, it starts collapsing. And it's coming down like this, and it forms the perfect shape of a football. I mean, even at that moment, trying to picture what I'm looking at, I could actually see it looking like a big football, like some giant's going to walk out of the woods and just throw it. I'm like, perfect football shape.
Wow.
You know, I didn't even think of it as being saucer shaped. I thought it was being football shaped. And after it slowly collapses down, and just about within a second or so of it collapsing down to where it's got this perfect football shape, about yay long, about like this, it just like this, and it goes about 100 feet off to the side of the highway and back a little bit where there's this bridge overpass, and it stops. I mean, you could see it just like a spark shooting across in front of you, just like
and
that.
It just stopped
and it just stops, just stops dead. And it didn't sit there for more than a couple seconds, and then it shot right back, come back. Oh, it made a different arc, and it came kind of like an arc right across, and it stopped over to the right for like a split second, and then it went right over the top of the truck where, you know, I couldn't see it when it went over there, but I could see it go over, and I just stepped my head around, saw it come right out the other window. It stopped about 100 to 150 feet where there's this big field several hundred feet across. It just stops right there. And then when it stopped, it made like a little arc. So like a little arc going up, and it made a little arc and went back up to the left, and I could actually lean forward and watch it. And it just went like this and shot and went straight up, well, not straight up, but at an angle, like a curved angle. It went up and was gone.
In a split second.
Just gone in a split second. I mean, you couldn't have gone at 1,000 and it was gone.
Wow.
I've watched 155 millimeter howitzers shot, 105s. I've shot 90 millimeter Coils rifles. I've seen tracers shooting out. This thing was like, I mean, it was moving. I mean, it was moving faster than anything I've ever seen in my life. It just was gone.
So what did you do? Did you start your truck back and start driving again, or did you get out and talk to the guys behind you? Or?
Well, I sat there for a second when we're in the road.
Oh, that's right.
We're in the road.
You gotta get going.
And I looked back and they're looking, and the only thing I thought was, I need to get out of the road. So I just started driving. And I knew we were only about 20 minutes from the job.
Yeah.
Because it was just right over the border in Virginia.
Right.
So I just started driving, and we didn't get out of the truck or anything, and we went on up to where the job site was. And when we pulled into the parking lot, there was all these other construction crews, and there was a guy standing out there, and he says, yeah, go ahead and back your trucks up over there. So we backed up to the dock where we was going to unload. And when we backed up and everything, we got out, and they came up there, and I turned around and I looked at my buddy who was driving, and I said, can you believe that? And he goes, it was like, I've never seen, he was like really amazed, like, I've never seen that. Like, he's like, wow. And I was like, did you see that? And I don't know why I said it, but I was like, did you see it? And he was like, man, did I ever see it? Like, whoa, you know, and we was like, me and him was kind of like, for like 30 seconds, like, and I turned around to one of the other guys and I said, what did you think about it? And the other one goes, if anybody asks me, I don't know what you're talking about. If anybody comes in and even bothers me, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Yeah. Period. And I looked at the other guy, and I saw his face looking at it. And I looked at the other guy and I said, well, what did you think about it? And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I was asleep. I said, I saw you. I was asleep.
Why do people do that? Why do they do that? I don't understand why they do that.
So only one guy out of the whole crew would even talk to me about it, and that's because I knew him really well. We were pretty good friends. So.
And you've talked to him about it since?
We've talked about it several times over the years, yeah.
Wow.
And as a matter of fact, when I told some of the guys at the shop what had happened, one of the guys I work with actually had to make a delivery out to where he was working one day, and when they took a break, he said I was able to get him to the side, and I asked him about it. And he goes, the guy that was asking him about it, he said, he told me the same story you told me.
Yeah.
He said, I told him the same thing.
Yep. There's your proof.
Yeah. And then, of course, a lot of comments like, I didn't believe you at first, but I'd like to see that myself, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was out of this world.
Wow.
That whatever that was, the only thing that makes any sense to me, now anybody can argue what they think it is, but it was the perfect recon vessel from wherever it was at, complete 360 degree, just gathering information on whatever, and wherever it came from, I guarantee you it's got all of us looking at it like, what in the world's that? Yeah.
It's like that Google Earth truck's got that weird camera on the back
Yeah.
of everything going around.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever it
Yeah.
is, they Googled everything, I mean everything, temperature, density, moisture, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the perfect recon, but it has to be. And this is 1988.
88?
88.
88. Okay, so this is back in the day before we had any, well, they say the government's 50 years ahead of us, so who knows. But it seems like they'd be looking at something else besides just
Yeah.
North
Well,
Carolina.
I told somebody from my military experience and working with different people in special operations and all the stuff, places I've been all over half the world. If our government had something like that back in 1988, we're in a hell of a lot of trouble today. I mean, think,
Well, they got drones
how are
as
you
big
going to
as
keep
flies,
something like that a secret?
Yeah.
I
Well, they
care.
don't keep it a secret anymore. The Pentagon's come out and said, yeah, there's UFOs. Stuff we don't know about.
Yeah.
We're admitting it. So it's out there in the open, which is probably why people can talk about it
Yeah.
now and not feel like they're going to get laughed at. Of course, there's still people.
Or locked up.
Or locked up in the loony bin.
Not locked up, locked away.
Oh, locked away, yeah. Or whatever.
Airplane pilots won't talk about it too much because they fear they'll lose their job.
Right.
Yeah.
But even some of them are coming
Yeah.
forward. I mean, look at David Fravor from the Pentagon video. He's all over the news and everything else telling his story. That was not from Earth, is what he said. Whatever it was. He said whatever it was, I sure would like to fly it.
A lot of astronauts have stories for these things, but they won't tell it until they're away from NASA and everything.
Right.
Because they don't want to lose their job.
Right.
I had a good friend of mine, his dad was actually a cargo specialist like on C-130s and stuff. He was the master load for C-130 cargos
Right.
and flew all over the world. And he had a cookout at his house one night, and he loved to tell stories about UFO. I told him my story about the object, and he said, oh, we used to see those all the time, especially down around the Devil's Triangle. He said sometimes there would be 2 or 3 of them flying right alongside of their aircraft. And he said one night he remembers that he was really tired, and he was laying there because they got these seats that kind of drop out, and said he was kind of crashed out like in a bunk there in the aircraft. And one of them says, man, you got to see these UFOs. He said, there's some really cool. He said, look, I've seen so many of them, I don't even want to hear about it. I got to get some sleep. Said he said he got so used to seeing them that he wouldn't even get up ever to.
He's like, yeah, old news.
Yeah. Let me tell you, after I saw that object and what it did, I'll tell you, something's going on. That's all I got to say. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, but it just, I feel, be honest with you, I feel really lucky I got to see it.
Yeah.
Because now I
Yeah.
see things differently than the way I saw them before.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 very big eye openers for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe the Sabe, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and the UFOs go together?
Yes, there's some kind of connection in there. Some kind of connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm starting to think so too.
Because the one thing that people forget when they talk about UFOs and stuff like that, or that object that I saw,
Right.
there's some 350 to 500 billion stars in just our galaxy, suns in our galaxy. And we now know from Hubble that there's some 350 to 500 billion galaxies. Some people say that they can actually, and the scientific community say that they can actually now map over 1 trillion galaxies out there. And to think that we're alone,
Yeah.
oh yeah, really, yeah.
Terrible waste of
Yeah,
space.
yeah. Yeah, tell me I don't like apple pecan pie.
Yes.
I watched it just the other day.
Yeah, terrible waste of space.
Yeah, but it was amazing. It was the most amazing, it was just absolutely amazing what the technology was.
One important question. Were you scared during that?
No,
You didn't feel any fear at all?
no, no.
Yeah.
I studied for 2 years at Central Piedmont to be a police detective and took courses in how to visually, like in a scene or anything happening, how to divide it up and to put the pieces together so that you're actually examining little parts of it instead of like an overall picture that can distort your memory.
Right.
How to actually look at an incident so when you go to a court of law, you can actually tell with all positivity that this is what you saw. And then when I spent 3 years in the Army, combat infantry, and took courses in sniper training and so forth, they taught you how to look at things that you would see, like whether it be in a desert or a jungle. A good example is if you're on a recon and you see an enemy position or so forth, you learn how to divide everything up and pick out little things that nobody else would notice. So here I've already had all that training, and I'm sitting there looking at this object.
Wow.
Didn't scare me at all.
So you knew how to look on the inside. Did the guys in the back notice all that stuff
No,
too?
no, they
did.
just saw this big silver ball shooting all over the place.
Okay.
Because I asked them about the fluids and stuff, and he said, "Oh, it's just like, you know."
So you're have more of a trained eye.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard it right straight out of the mouth, and
Yeah.
you'd be willing to sign an affidavit for that,
I'd be
right?
willing to sign an affidavit and my witness. Yeah.
I love stories like this. We're going to have more for you, so stay tuned to Offbeat Discoveries, and if you have a story, please send us an email at offbeatdiscoveries@gmail.com, and we'll get you hooked up. Thank you so much. Bye.
There you go.
All right.